He stars in Sci-Fi's new Christmas-esque comedy and will probably ruin the idea of a sweet, innocent Santa for you. Actor Joe Reitman is here in studio to talk all about his new role and what's next for him. You don't want to miss it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to another mini spotlight. I'm your host, Morgan Willett. You can find me on Twitter at Morgan_Willett. But enough about me. I have actor Joe Reitman here with me. Joe, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
You know what? I'm doing fantastic.
Thank you. It's good to hear that you're doing well, too.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm alive and here in the studio.
You're alive and well and here in the studio to talk all about your new show that I am so excited to chat about because, I mean, Bad Santa.
Right.
That is what you play. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I play very bad Santa on this show called Happy, and Happy is starring Chris Maloney, who is this disgraced cop that became a hitman, and he has a near-death experience. When he comes to, he sees this flying donkey unicorn Pegasus that's sitting on his chest that goes, "Wake up, Nick, we need to go save Haley." And Haley is his daughter, and when he finds that out, he has to go save Haley, and Haley's been kidnapped by a crack-smoking, schizophrenic Santa Claus, and that's me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how did this role come about? And when you first read the role, were you like, this is for me? Were you like, this is weird?
Well, all right, so it's based on a comic written by Grant Morrison that came out in like 2012, I believe. And I knew the comic.
Oh, okay.
And Brian Taylor, who directed this, he also directed Crank and Gamer, both movies that I've been in, and the upcoming Mom and Dad that's coming out this month. And Brian came and saw a play that I was doing in LA called Like Blood from a Cheap Cigar that I was performing in Los Angeles for the Fringe Festival here that we took to Scotland for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, what? And he says, I have an idea. And a couple weeks later, he called me. He goes, hear me out. I think you should play this character. And I was like, I love you so much. You know, it was like really. And I told my friends, I go, I'm playing a crack-smoking, schizophrenic Santa Claus. And they went, who else were they going to hire? You're the guy. You're the guy.
All right, so it fits you well then.
I guess so. I guess people look at me and they're like, that's
schizophrenic
right.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you want children to see this? Because I feel like this is going to corrupt their image of Santa.
So when I got the job, Brian said, Nickelodeon and Disney will never hire you again. That's what his opening line to me was about the show. And so I am a rather disturbing human being. But, I think it's good for children to find out the truth about Christmas and understand.
There you go.
I think it's not a bad thing to have different versions of Santa,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Or maybe if parents want their kids not to believe in Santa anymore, they'll just show them this show.
My Santa does love children. I will say that. That's all I'm going to really say.
Okay.
But he does love kids.
All right, I'll have to watch to find out what that means. But so it aired December 6th. What has the feedback been so far? Have you heard it good, bad? I'm assuming good.
Yeah, it's been great. The feedback's been great. We're 4 episodes in.
Okay.
It wasn't on yesterday, but it'll be on again starting next Wednesday and playing every Wednesday through January. But the feedback's been fantastic, and fans who really, really like it have really embraced it. It's shot like any other, not like any other show on television. Brian always has a really unique POV, and they really were told by the network to push the boundaries, and they have. So I think it's a special kind of show. There's nothing like it.
So can we expect a season 2 then? Do you think
Well, I'm not a network executive, but I think so. I mean, I think there's more to be seen in this world, and based on the people who have been watching, the numbers they've been getting, and the kind of fan base I think it already has, I would hope there's another season. But I can't really. It's not my decision.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, touche.
Is that fair to say?
Okay, as a crack-smoking schizophrenic Santa Claus, I'm sure you do an array of insane things. Was there one scene that just on the top of your mind stands out the most that you're like, that was my favorite?
My favorite? All right. So, God, I don't want to give away anything that's happening in the next month. I don't. So it's hard to say.
Okay,
but
so
out of the stuff that I've done already.
Past 4 episodes.
I had this tea party with this little girl that was basically the version of Alice in Wonderland's Tea Party with the Mad Hatter that is just amazing. And when I got to do this kind of tea party thing in a different universe and kind of have it be surreal and basically feed drug-infused fruitcake to a child, I thought that was a lot of fun.
Okay, so now I'm even more intrigued by this.
Yeah.
Drug-infused fruitcake.
Yes.
It's creative, I must say.
It was creative. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We'll have to tune into that. And then when does that air for everyone who's listening?
The show airs on the Sci-Fi Channel at 10 o'clock every Wednesday.
All right, I'm tuning in. I'm adding that to my list of things to procrastinate binge watch.
Yay.
So,
Yay.
excited. All right, well, let's rewind, say, 25, 20 years.
Oh, no.
You started acting like 1991. You've been in the business for a long time.
Yes.
How did you get started?
Well,
Why did you get started?
Why did I start acting?
Yeah.
Well, I was performing on vaudeville back in the day, in the 1880s. No, when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a superhero. And then what kind of happened is I realized that was most unlikely to happen. And I started playing sports, and I played football, basketball, baseball. Also, in a weird way, which I have a direct correlation. If you think about it, like sports are very much like theater in the sense that there's usually, you have a role, which is a position, and you have kind of like expectations, and there's usually a climax to the whole project, and like a high point where like someone has to score, and there's tension built in. There's a storyline. People have to interact, which is kind of like saying lines back and forth. Act and react, which is what sports are, and act and react is what acting does. So because of those things, I kind of fell into acting, and because I thought they were pretty similar in a lot of ways, and I wasn't going to become a professional athlete. So even though I played college football,
Okay.
and then when I was in high school, I auditioned for a theater company that was going to London, and I'd never done a play before, and I didn't tell my parents, and I came home and I went, Mom, Dad, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I got into a theater company that's going to London. The bad news is we have to figure out how to pay for it.
After that, great.
Yeah, and I had never done a play, ever. So that was my first experience going to London. By the time I came back to London, from London, I knew.
hooked.
Yeah, I knew. I was 16, and I was like, I know, this is it.
So what would you say, you've done so many roles, do you think was your first kind of big breakout role in this Hollywood industry?
The first thing I ever started getting noticed for is I played Kelly Bundy's boyfriend on Married with Children a bunch of times, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And not only was it a breakout, but crazy enough, in college, I had her picture on my wall, like she was my crush. And so...
it all comes full circle.
I know. And I would tell my friends, I go, I could play her boyfriend. And they said, why? I said, because I could play a guy who thinks she's smart. And that was my first big job. And I had one word in the first episode I did, and I got a bunch of laughs because I added some stuff, and I ended up doing a bunch of episodes. And for me, that was my big break.
Huh. Well, it sounds like you kind of have like a comedy background. I mean, you seem extremely funny. You're in a new comedy. So do you have training in like improv, or is this is all natural?
Okay. Well, you know what? Training is such an interesting thing. I did not study at Groundlings or Acme or any of those schools. What I did do is there was a theater company, there's an improv company in my college named Without a Box, and they were rather successful. And I was kind of an honorary member because I was always doing plays, but I would go and work out with them all the time. And I ended up doing some of the shows with them, even through college. But I've always been kind of like a guy who's, kind of done improv. I used to pretend I was characters when I was in high school and take my fake ID and go into bars and pretend I was somebody for the night. Like I'd go into some bar and I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm from New York. I'm here for a week. I'm acting in a movie. I play under 21. I'm 18, and I sit there and I'm playing this guy, and I pretend that I was different people. So I was kind of grooming myself for that anyway.
Who would have thought grooming yourself for acting all started with fake ID?
Yeah, right. I know.
All you young actors out there.
Get fake IDs. No, I didn't say that.
His
She
word.
suggested. But I think that's the thing. Is I think there was a lot of that going on, and I've always been a fan of improv. I when I was little, I used to think that the world was full of robots, and and that there was cameras filming everybody, kind of like
now,
which they are now, right? But kind of right. But like the Truman Show, like I really felt like that when I was little. So I used to try to think of clever things to say because I thought there were cameras and everyone else was a robot, and that kind of like became kind of true. I mean, it's what I do now, so. It just kind of paid itself off.
Interesting. Well, I mean, speaking of childhood, I have to ask this because I'm so curious. I saw breakdancing is in your past.
That's true.
Do you still breakdance?
Since my hip replacement, I don't breakdance as much as I used to, but I can still lock and pop. Yeah, I can.
if we were not in such a tight space, I would 100% ask you.
Can you lock and pop too?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I can maybe like pop, lock, and drop it, like
right, just a little bit.
the most basic way
You and I can sit there.
possible. Maybe
See,
just the whole show.
That's what,
I mean, it's not too late for you to go on, so you think you can dance.
we can sit there. I'm not scared to go on that, or I am not scared to go on that. I'm not scared to go on any dancing show. I would go on anything.
Well, okay, if they're listening, you heard it here. I would love to see you on So You Think You Can Dance.
Is that the show that you want to see me on?
Yes.
Yeah? You don't
Yeah.
think I should have, there isn't like a disco ball trophy in my future either? Maybe we could do that? Oh?
I take that back. I was on the panel for Dancing with the Stars for here.
Were you?
Love the show. So, okay,
Dancing
next
with the
season I
Stars?
need you on there.
Right.
So I can talk about you and be like, I know him. I put this in his head.
I'm ready for the Paso Doble. I'm ready to go.
Okay, can we add like a pop and a log in the Paso?
Yeah, you know, we
a
could
great
do
idea.
that. You know, that's the thing. I would call Joey Fatone and I would ask him for some tips and ask him what I should do. Because he's been through that and, you know, he's my boy. So.
I think you could take the mirror ball.
You know what? I don't think anybody would see it coming. I think that's the thing. No one would see it coming, right? They'd be like, what?
And those
Creepy
are the
Santa?
wins that people love.
Creepy Santa showing up, right? This Beauty and the Beast kind of like transformation thing.
But I mean, I will say, if you do it, your first dance must be in a Santa costume because that would only be appropriate.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk to costume about that. Then we'll see
They're
what we
like,
can
no,
do.
don't do that. Abort.
No, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Okay, well, I like it. It's a good one. All right, well, back to what you do now.
We're gonna
All right, so you do acting, producing, writing, all of it.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So in the future, is there one you particularly want to focus on?
Oh my God.
Tough question.
You know, it's tough. I get distracted by shiny objects, like I really do. So whatever is kind of interesting is what I like to do. I'm a big fan of shows that allow you to do a little bit of everything too. If I like to write, I like the idea of writing, directing, producing some stuff that I'd be able to kind of like mix a bunch of my skills together. You know, there are shows like that, like Better Things, that I think is a great show. For me, acting. And this is the thing, acting is not easy, right? But when you have the job, it is the most enjoyable to do, right? Like once you have the job, getting the job's hard, the homework is hard, the rejection is hard, the process is hard, and even when you have the job, there's a lot of work to do. But it is the most enjoyable because you get to do things like this and meet wonderful people like you and kind of like enjoy yourself. No, come on.
Ah.
And then, you know, and like that's really like wonderful, right? To have these kind of conversations and talk to people and hopefully be an inspiration. And there's a lot of that comes along with it. Directing is 24/7 creating a universe, and that's a hard job. But when you have it, it's all encompassing. But it's very rewarding because you're no longer a chess piece. You're the one playing chess, right? Producing is really hard and takes years, you know. And I think is a process that, although I do it, it's not something that it's work. I think producing is work, and writing is the hardest thing in the world. Like locking yourself in a room. I don't know if you write. Do you write at all?
College writing was like my major, and I know how difficult it can be whenever you want to spit a word out and you can't think of it. So
Right.
I don't think I ever could be a writer.
Right, especially if you don't have a deadline. I mean, that's the thing. In college, you have deadlines. If you don't have one, to sit there in a coffee shop with a blank page and be like, I need to create a world, that's the hardest thing, I think, to do. Even though it's very rewarding when you see it come to life. You know, when you take a blueprint that you've developed and see people start coloring it in and adding characters, it's very rewarding. But they all have just different kind of like rewards to them. So I like doing them all.
All right. Well, in the future, do you think you could ever see yourself, say, producing, directing, and acting in your own? That's kind of like
I hope so. I hope
the
so.
win-win.
Yeah. If there was-
Everyone wants that.
Yeah, if there was a world where they let me like kind of play in a writer's room and then direct an episode here and there and kind of like act on the show, I'd be a very happy man.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll stay tuned. I'm keeping an eye out for it.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, okay. I have to ask this because I'm dying and I'm very sad you didn't bring your teeth in. But okay, the original Geico Caveman commercial.
Right.
How did that come about? How fun was it filming?
Okay.
Or was it fun filming?
It was a really hard day, and here's the situation with that. There was a big audition, but nobody knew what it was going to become. And I went in, and the truth of the matter is when it came to all the people that were auditioning, like I was wearing a cardigan sweatshirt and the chinos, and I had my hair down, which is like down to here, and I looked a little like a caveman. Like I mean, that's not lying to anybody. I looked the most like a caveman out of the people they hired. Then they brought us in after we were hired for the job because it was a commercial audition. It was like everybody else. They wanted to shave me and put a wig on me because they did that for everybody else. But I already had it, and I had another job I had to do, so I couldn't shave, which created a problem with the prosthetics, and it was an issue. But they had hired me, so I was already doing this commercial being the Caveman. So I did the first Caveman commercial, but I couldn't adjust as much as I needed to. And honestly, the truth of the matter is, they hired 5 Cavemen, they only need 4. So I'm kind of like the Pete Best out of like the Caveman commercials, where like I did one, and then they were like, we don't really need the 5th guy, and that was it. And I was kind of gone. But I did the first ad, you know.
And he still has the teeth.
And I still have the teeth, and I still wear the teeth. I still wear the teeth on special occasions.
Please tell me, like, family Christmas, you roll up with caveman teeth.
I've worn them in Christmas pictures. I have. I wear them on Halloween. I create characters and I wear them on Halloween almost every year. You know, and for you, I'd wear them anytime you ask.
Oh, thanks. Okay, next time.
Next
or if I was gonna say if I ever want to be a caveman, but I also don't want your dentures, and I don't want to be a caveman for Halloween.
No. But you know.
Never mind.
No, that's a bad idea.
Okay. Anyways, moving on. So you've starred in so many different things, so many fun roles. Clueless, big fan.
Yay.
Out of everything that you've done, is there one character that you just think stands out the most to you, that you will never forget? It's your absolute favorite.
I'm not going to lie, it's the Santa, the very bad Santa.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time that I've had a chance to be somebody that's so far removed from me. You know, I've played a lot of different kinds of characters. This guy who played Grandma Porn on The Shield, I loved playing because I thought he was funny and disgusting and great. But this Santa is completely deranged and out there and colorful and fully realized. And I just feel so lucky to have played this guy that if I could, I'd play him forever.
I hope you do play him forever. I hope we see him evolve throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But okay, moving past acting, poker. You know everything about me. You know, Google's a magical place, let me tell you.
Cool. It's like, yes, I have this machine, this magical machine.
Lovely tablet.
Yeah.
But I'm so intrigued by this, so along to acting, producing, writing, all this stuff.
Okay.
Also, poker, I know you won 200,000.
266,000 in 14 hours.
To be exact, that's incredible.
That was the big win.
What sparked the interest in poker?
Well, my ex-wife liked playing poker, and we would play at people's houses and stuff. And then, and after our divorce, oddly enough, the first person I really dated after that was this girl, Annie Duke, who was a world champion poker player, and at the time, the winningest female player in the history of the game. So I went on a date with her and pitched the idea of a game show called Annie Duke Takes on the World that we brought to the Game Show Network that they bought. And I knew nothing about poker. and so I said, if I'm going to produce this show, I need to learn as much as I can. So I started studying the game, watching her play, and absorbing as fast as I could. And then after the show was made, she's like, you should play in this tournament. You know, you really know how to play now. You've really listened, and you're a good student. I said, I don't want to. And she goes, I'm buying you in, and you're playing. And so I said, all right. And she's like, I'm commentating from a studio a few miles from here. I'm going to go to the studio. She drove off. She got to the studio, and she goes, how's Joe doing? And they said, he's chip leader. And the next thing you know, I won the tournament. So
that's casual.
Yeah, and then I played in the World Series 4 times, and, you know.
So are you going to continue with poker in the future?
Oh, I played in a house game this week for fun. I'm playing on a charity event the night of the Golden Globes on the 7th here in LA. If you go to my Facebook page or something, there's information on it. Joseph David Reitman. And you can join me and play with me if you want to buy in. And then other than that, like, you know, I play at charity events now.
Okay.
I play occasionally. If people want me to play, I like to play. And I teach whenever I'm asked.
I mean, it sounds like you're pretty good at it. I could be wrong, but 266,000 isn't much to complain about.
It was a big win. I haven't had to win that big again, but I've won a few tournaments. And
okay.
I play all right.
Interesting. Well, I'll have to stay tuned in the poker world. I'm really bad at poker, but I'll keep an eye.
Awesome. If you want to play for money, whenever you want, let me know.
I'll have to learn first, but okay, I'll work on it. All right, before we wrap up, what's next for you? Any big plans in the future?
I'm doing a film next month called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters, which is with Greg Grunberg and Kevin Smith, and we're shooting that, so that's coming up next. Mom and Dad is this movie I did with Brian Taylor, who also directed Happy. That's going to be out on video on demand and in certain theaters around the country starting January 19th.
Okay.
So those are the 2 big things coming up.
Keep an eye out. Busy 2018 then.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, Joe, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. Go ahead and tell people one more time where they can find you on social media.
If you want to find me, like on Instagram or on Twitter, at joeugly.com. At Joe Ugly. That's what I am. Yeah, that's
easy.
where you go. Yeah, or Joseph David Reitman on Facebook, or, you know, whatever. Google me. I'm not hard to find.
All right, well, I'll have to tune in. Thank you so much. And guys, make sure to tune into Sci-Fi's new comedy, Happy, starring Bad Santa.
Joseph David Reitman.
Can't wait. And thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'm your host, Morgan Willett. Catch up with me on Twitter at Morgan_Willett, and we'll see you next time.
Buzz you
From
later.
executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Buzz you later.